My name is Kalima Kareem, and I'm the treasurer of Celebrating the African Spirit. I'm speaking to you today from Upper Landing Park here in the city of Poughkeepsie. I wonder how many people know that Upper Landing Park, which is the juncture of where the Fallkill meets the Hudson River, was once a famous and very, very busy port of trade. And one of the biggest items for trade and one of the biggest shipments or cargo was the delivery of enslaved African men, women, and children who were taken off ships right here in chains for a lifetime of bondage and cruelty here in the mid-Hudson. From the very earliest colonial times, when New York was still New Amsterdam under the Dutch, slavery was intrinsic to the development of the region, from New York City all the way up the Hudson to what is now Albany.
There was much work to be done, a lot of farms where people needed farm labor. You had the city, which is around all in this where we are, is really the central part of the city of Poughkeepsie, and just general households needed slaves for everyday work, cooking, doing the laundry, taking care of the children, probably running some errands, that type of thing. And as there was also a lot of industry in this valley. And of course here at the landing, the boatmen and stevedores were busy loading and unloading the ships. And you had many large estates, many that were being built here. So we had builders, cement workers, woodworkers, everything that you could possibly need for building the places. And then after that, to maintain them. Dutchess became the fastest growing county in the colony by the middle of the 18th century. So this was growth, this was economic growth and growth in every way.
But like I said, it was an intrinsic part of the development of the region. And that this was not any Hollywood version of slavery, any benevolent thing. The slaves were treated very harshly and very cruelly. There were slave revolts in New York City, there were slave revolts in Albany, and slaves ran away whenever they had the opportunity to.
Poughkeepsie is famous for having the Constitutional Convention here, where New York State decided to join the Union in 1788 under the leadership of Alexander Hamilton. It's important to remember at that time that the New York State was a slave state. So things like the 3/5 clause and other things relating to slave states related to New York State. By 1799, however, there was enough pressure in New York that they decided to create what they called the Gradual Abolition Act. And it was indeed very gradual. The concern was that there'd be an economic impact if the enslaved individuals were freed too quickly. So they passed a law in 1799 that would come into effect in 1827 on the 4th of July.
They said in effect that children born to enslaved women would be set free after they reached a majority and had worked for 28 and 25 years for their slaveholders. Now their mother was still a slave, but successive groups of children that were born were scheduled for freedom ultimately if they made it that far. It wasn't until, I believe, 1817, and our historians may correct me, that they went back and redressed the fact that, oh yes, the people who were enslaved in 1799 would be set free.